My name is Radiya Hafiza and I'm the author of Rumaysa, a fairy tale, and I'm going to be doing a short reading from my book. Once upon a time, in a land quite far away, snow was falling heavily from the dark sky, blanketing the land of Splinterfell in white. It was a night full of promise to some, for the first day of snowfall marked the beginning of winter and the coming of festivities and joy. It was time to shut up windows, spend time with loved ones, and retreat from the outside world. Not everybody could take part in such joy, though. There were some families who had less than others, and the fall of snow meant a definite end to the hopes of crops and work. There was one family who were particularly less fortunate than others. Naina lived in a little hut on the outskirts of the village and spent her days sewing clothes for wealthier ladies. Her husband, Sama, was usually gone for most of the day, trying to find work, but he never had any luck. Some said his bloodline was cursed to poverty. Others cruelly and unfairly whispered that he was a bad worker, so nobody would hire him. When Sama returned home one night after another long hard day of searching for work, his hands were once again empty. Naina began to weep, tired from her day of stitching, with nothing to eat since morning. She feared for her unborn child. There were only 2 more moons to go until the baby came. Unable to bear seeing his wife so upset, Sama went back outside in search of food. Over the hill, right by the edge of the woods, there was one house to which nobody ventured too close. The dark wooden building was surrounded by different crops and berries in the garden. It was said the witch of Splinterfell lived there, though nobody had ever seen her, and that anyone who stole from her bounteous garden would have to pay a price. What that price was, no one could be sure, but few were willing to find out. Sama, however, was desperate. He snuck his way over to the house and he slipped in through the large gates that encircled it. Sama felt as though he had stepped into a dream. There were all kinds of fruits and vegetables growing in the witch's garden. He stood in uncertainty for a moment and then began to take as much of the food as he could carry. He ran back to his house, looking over his shoulder all the while. He spotted no sign of the witch, nor anybody else. Naina was overjoyed when Sama came home with the food. She turned the vegetables into a stew and they ate merrily, with the fruits for dessert. The next evening, Sama returned home again, having had no luck in finding work. He hesitated before entering his house. Through the window he could see his wife lying in bed, cradling her large stomach. He gazed at her for a moment, making his decision. Sama snuck back into the witch's garden and took all he could carry again. The witch didn't seem to exist, so Sama returned again and again over the next 2 months, taking whatever food he could find. Naina began to glow with health, and soon enough the time came for their child to arrive. The birth of Naina and Sama's baby carried on through the night and day. Finally the baby came screaming into the world. Naina and Sama were weeping and laughing from exhaustion. It was a girl. They called her Rumaysa. Just as Naina was holding her daughter for the first time, joyfully cradling her and stroking her cheek, a knock sounded on their wooden door. "Who is it?" Sama called. "It is I," came a low voice, "the one from whom you have been stealing." Sama froze. The hairs on his body stood up. "Who is that?" Naina asked, clinging her baby tighter to her chest. "I don't know what you're talking about," Sama cried, frantically searching for some sort of weapon, but their small house was bare. The door swung open with a loud smack to reveal a figure cloaked in black. All they could see of her pale face was dark red lips and a pointy chin. Sama's eyes widened in horror. It was the witch. "For 2 moons you have stolen from my garden," the witch said. "Now I have come to take what is mine." She lifted a skeletal finger and pointed at the baby.